Welcome, gamers. Whether you're a seasoned player or a button-mashing newbie, get ready to dive into the electrifying world of PlayStation 5. In this video, we'll unveil the top 50 games that have redefined console gaming over the past 3 years. From heart-pounding adventures to jaw-dropping visuals, these titles have left an indelible mark on the gaming landscape. Buckle up, because we're about to embark on an adrenaline-fueled journey through the best PS5 games of 2021, 2022 and 2023. Let's get started.
Elden Ring is a hardcore RPG developed by From Software. It merges the combat and lore of the famous Dark Souls games with a more developed narrative and open-world map. The game is set in a vast, sad world of big trees, beasts, and magic. You play as a tarnished of no renown, blessed by grace. You are compelled to make the journey to the lands between and become an Elden Lord. The grand story is hard to fully digest on a first playthrough. The game rewards your curiosity with interesting encounters, valuable rewards, or something even greater. It seamlessly weaves a full-on Dark Souls game into the middle of it. The game is challenging at times, vicious at others, but mostly incredibly fun. The enjoyable pace makes the hours of play pass by like water. Each path opens up a few more, only to come together again after a fair amount of exploration. The game is huge in comparison to the previous games. It reaches new heights, but spends too much time in familiar From Software territory. It is considered one of the highest-rated games of all time.
Baldur's Gate 3 is an enthralling role-playing video game developed and published by Larian Studios. Drawing inspiration from the iconic Dungeons & Dragons tabletop system, it immerses players in the Forgotten Realms. In the game, players awaken with mysterious abilities, thanks to a mind flayer parasite in their brains. They can choose to resist this darkness or embrace corruption. Assemble a party of heroes, each with unique skills and backgrounds, to explore the richly detailed world. The narrative depth is cinematic, bringing players closer to their characters than ever before. The game world is vast, filled with characters, dangers, and deceit, allowing unprecedented freedom to explore and interact. Hogwarts Legacy is an immersive, open-world action RPG set in the magical world first introduced in the Harry Potter books. The game takes place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and its surrounding areas. Your character, a student, holds the key to an ancient secret that threatens to tear the wizarding world apart. This mystery drives the main storyline. During character creation, players can choose their appearance, gender, voice, and body type. Embark on a journey through both familiar and new locations, explore the magical world, encounter fantastic beasts, and uncover hidden secrets. Master spellcasting, brew potions, and upgrade talents as you progress. Stray is a captivating third-person adventure game developed by Blue 12 Studio and published by Annapurna Interactive. The game is set in a decaying cybercity, teeming with curious droids and dangerous creatures. You play as a stray cat, lost and separated from family, navigating the neon-lit alleys of the city and its seedy underbelly. The cat's journey involves untangling an ancient mystery to escape this long-forgotten city. The gameplay is immersive, allowing you to leap across platforms, climb obstacles, and interact with the environment in playful ways. You can be stealthy, nimble, and sometimes as annoying as possible with the strange inhabitants of this mysterious world. Along the way, the cat befriends a small flying drone, known only as B-12. With B-12's help, they must find a way out. The game's aesthetics were influenced by Kowloon Walled City, which the developers felt could be appropriately explored by a cat. Stray offers a unique perspective, allowing you to see the world through the eyes of a cat. Star Wars Jedi Survivors is a narrative-driven action-adventure game set in the Star Wars universe. Developed by Respawn Entertainment in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, the game continues the journey of Cal Kestis, a surviving Jedi Knight, 5 years after the events of Star Wars Jedi: Fallen Order. Cal faces new threats as the galaxy descends into darkness, and players must guide him through desperate battles against the Empire. The game features stunning visuals, intense lightsaber combat, and exploration across various planets. Players can immerse themselves in the struggle for survival, uncovering secrets, mastering the Force, and confronting powerful enemies. Whether infiltrating Imperial bases or engaging in epic duels, Jedi Survivor delivers an authentic Star Wars experience.
Lies of P is a Souls-like game inspired by the story of Pinocchio. It's a dark and gory adventure where you hack and slash your way through a dystopian world of marionettes. The game stands out with its impressive story, extremely well-tuned combat, memorable areas, and boss fights. The game's story is a dark reimagining of Carlo Collodi's Pinocchio. It features an untrustworthy cat and fox and a neat mechanic where you have to choose to tell lies or the truth. These choices impact the outcome of your adventure. Despite some mechanical clumsiness, Lies of P is a competent action game with a unique toolset for experimentation. It's a successful gothic folktale reimagining, turning Pinocchio into a blank-faced metal death machine. Lies of P is a solid, well-thought-out game that sticks closely to the formula developed by From Software. It's an impressive, incredibly fun, and often brutal experience.
Resident Evil 4 is a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom. It's a remake of the 2005 classic, reimagined with state-of-the-art graphics and gameplay. Players control U.S. Agent Leon S. Kennedy, tasked with saving Ashley Graham, the daughter of the US president, from the mysterious Los Illuminados cult. Set 6 years after the Raccoon City incident, Leon embarks on a daring rescue mission in a secluded European village. Something terribly wrong awaits him there. The gameplay preserves the essence of the original while introducing modernized mechanics. Expect intense combat, resource management, and puzzles. Alongside Leon and Ashley, players encounter memorable characters like Ada Wong, Louise Sarah, and the menacing villagers. The game boasts vividly detailed graphics, enhancing the horror experience for both new players and fans of the original. It Takes Two is a co-op adventure game developed by Hazelight Studios. The game revolves around a squabbling couple, Cody and May, who have been magically transformed into dolls by the eccentric Dr. Hakim. The game's world is filled with magical realist twists, taking players on a wild journey. The gameplay is filled with variety, from steering a giant pencil to casting spells in a dungeon crawl. The game constantly introduces new mechanics, keeping the gameplay fresh and exciting. The platforming essentials are responsive, allowing for effortless levels of platforming precision. The character-specific abilities compel players to work as a team. The game is praised for its creativity, playfulness, and rewarding experimentation. It also offers a compelling mystery that hooks players throughout the playthrough. Despite its intense and brutal tone, the game is also known for its grimly beautiful set pieces. The game is played from a first-person perspective, enhancing the intensity and immersion. A Plague Tale: Requiem is an action-adventure stealth video game developed by Asobo Studio and published by Focus Entertainment. It is the sequel to A Plague Tale: Innocence. The game continues the story of siblings Amisha and Hugo de Rune as they journey across province to find a cure for Hugo's condition. The siblings must flee from soldiers of the Inquisition and hordes of rats that are spreading the Black Plague. Players control Amisha, the older sister, who must navigate through both beautiful and dystopian areas, evade a tsunami of plague rats, and sneak or fight her way through an army of soldiers, all to save her brother. The game features a narrative-driven, single-player mode. Resident Evil Village is a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom. It is the sequel to Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, and continues the story of the protagonist, Ethan Winters. The game is set in a sinister rural village, reminiscent of Resident Evil 4. The story revolves around Ethan's quest to save his infant daughter, who has been kidnapped by a wicked cabal of monster maniacs. These antagonists include Lady Dimitrescu, a towering vampire, and other grotesque creatures. Each villain presides over their own visually distinctive domain, from opulent castles to grungy mechanical facilities. The game offers a variety of horror experiences, with some areas requiring stealth and others focusing on combat. The village itself is a scrappy, ramshackle scattering of wood and brick houses, farmers' fields, and the occasional church. Over it looms a gothic castle with immense spires stretching into the mist. The game features a variety of enemy types, including zombie ghouls, flying gargoyles, and full-on werewolves. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is an action-adventure game developed by Eidos Montreal and published by Square Enix. The game is set in an original universe based on the Marvel Comics superhero team. The plot follows the Guardians who, while attempting to capture a beast for a wealthy collector, inadvertently trigger a catastrophe which threatens the peace of the galaxy. The player controls Star-Lord, the team's self-proclaimed leader, and issues commands to other Guardians including Drax the Destroyer, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot. The game features dialogue trees that affect the relationships between Guardians and change the outcome of missions. Despite its lighthearted tone, themes of trauma and grief are central to the story.
Marvel's Midnight Suns is a tactical RPG set in the darker, supernatural side of the Marvel Universe. Developed by the creators of XCOM, this game brings a new twist to the superhero genre. As the Hunter, a legendary demon slayer with a mysterious past, you lead a team of iconic Marvel heroes. These include Iron Man, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, and others, who unite to stop the Mother of Demons from completing an ancient prophecy. The gameplay is unique, combining card-based tactical battles with RPG elements. Your decisions and strategies can influence the outcome of each battle, adding a layer of depth and complexity. The game features characters from multiple Marvel Comics properties such as Midnight Suns, Avengers, X-Men, and Runaways. You can customize your hero, the Hunter, with a choice of over 40 different powers.
God of War: Ragnarok is an action-adventure game developed by Santa Monica Studio and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. This game marks the first cross-gen release in the God of War series. The game is set in ancient Scandinavia and features series protagonist, Kratos, and his now teenage son, Atreus. The game covers Ragnarok, the eschatological event central to Norse mythology. The gameplay is similar to the previous 2018 installment, featuring combo-based combat, puzzle, and role-playing elements. Kratos acquires a magical spear and his shield becomes more versatile, with different types of shields having differing offensive and defensive abilities. Atreus, as well as some other characters, provide assistance in combat and can be passively controlled. For the first time in the series, there are some story missions where the player takes full control of Atreus.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2, developed by Insomniac Games, is a sequel that builds upon the web-swinging traversal and thrilling combat of its predecessor. The game features an excellent story with one of the best on-screen adaptations of Venom. The game's combat is familiar but still satisfying with precision dodges, perfect parries, and acrobatic finishers. The game's map is larger and the open-world activities within it are in need of evolution. Despite this, the game is described as a blockbuster, thrilling for long stretches. The game also has less emphasis on stealth encounters compared to its predecessors. The game is larger than life, with blockbuster boss battles and mob-fighting forays. Overall, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is considered the quintessential superhero game in both story and mechanical terms. It's a reliably fun superhero power trip, and despite its open world falling short, it's still considered the best superhero game yet.
Diablo 4, fourth installment in Blizzard Entertainment's iconic action RPG series, brings players back to the dark and gritty world of Sanctuary. Set years after the events of Diablo 3, the game plunges players into a realm ravaged by demonic forces and human strife. Lilith, the daughter of Mephisto, emerges as the primary antagonist, promising a narrative steeped in lore and a return to the series' darker roots. The game features an open-world structure, allowing for a more immersive exploration of Sanctuary's varied regions, from desolate wastelands to haunting forests. Players can choose from 5 distinct classes: Barbarian, Sorceress, Druid, Rogue, and Necromancer, each offering unique abilities and playstyles. The combat system retains its fast-paced, visceral nature, with improvements to animations and physics, making every encounter more engaging. Diablo 4 also introduces a more interactive environment, with features like climbing and swimming, adding depth to exploration and strategy. Dead Space 2023 is developed by Motive Studio and published by Electronic Arts. This game marks the return of the iconic sci-fi survival horror series after nearly a decade. The original 2008 game has been completely rebuilt, offering visual, audio, and gameplay improvements while staying true to its thrilling vision. In this immersive experience, players step into the shoes of Isaac Clarke, an engineer battling grotesque alien creatures known as necromorphs aboard the abandoned spaceship, the USG Ishimura. The game features eerie environments, strategic dismemberment combat, and a haunting narrative. Zero-gravity sections add a fresh layer of challenge and suspense, while players must strategically dismember enemies to survive. The atmospheric sound design and chilling soundtrack contribute to the intense atmosphere, and scarcity of resources forces tough decisions about ammo, health, and upgrades. Deathloop is a first-person shooter immersive sim video game developed by Arcane Lion and published by Bethesda Softworks. In Deathloop, the player takes on the role of Colt, an assassin stuck in a time loop. Colt has been tasked to take out 8 targets called Visionaries across the island of Black Reef before midnight. If even one target survives, the time loop resets and Colt's work is undone. The player uses a combination of stealth, parkour, attack skills, guns, gadgets, and powers to move about the game world. They must avoid or take out guards, learn the patterns of Colt's targets, and figure out the right order to eliminate said targets. The game features a multiplayer aspect in which the player can alternatively take the role of Juliana, an agent tasked to protect the time loop and take out Colt. When the player takes this role, they will enter a random player's game and may interfere with their play. The Last of Us Part 1 is a post-apocalyptic game developed by Naughty Dog. It's a potent mix of stealth, survival, and slaughter. The game is set in a well-crafted world and is revered for its haunting storytelling. The game has been remastered for the PS5, delivering astonishing new levels of detail and fluidity in its fully rebuilt world, characters, and animations. It also includes a remarkable array of accessibility options. The story, including the short prequel Left Behind, remains as strong, captivating, and shocking as ever. It weaves together themes of despair, selfishness, and misery, but also kindles the embers of hope, redemption, and love. Despite being a remake of an already fabulous remaster, it is considered the definitive way for solo players to experience this modern classic. However, it's missing the original's multiplayer mode.
The Callisto Protocol is a survival horror game developed by Striking Distance Studios and published by Krafton. The game is set on Jupiter's moon Callisto in the year 2320. Players assume the role of Jacob Lee, an inmate at Black Iron Prison. After surviving a crash landing on Callisto, Jacob is captured and incarcerated against his will in a high-security prison. A mysterious illness sweeps the prison, forcing Jacob to fight for survival. As he navigates through the chaos, he gradually uncovers the dark secrets of his captors. The gameplay involves exploring a series of levels, gathering resources, and collecting data logs while fighting off infected prisoners. Jacob's health is indicated by an implant on the back of his neck called a CORE device. Health can be replenished with injectable packs found throughout levels. Jacob can use weapons to combat enemies, as well as a melee system to dodge enemy attacks while looking for openings to strike and kill them. Both combat styles can be mixed up, providing greater variety when facing enemy types.
Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is a third-person shooter platform game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is the 16th installment in the Ratchet & Clank series. The game follows Ratchet, a furry alien space hero, and his robot sidekick Clank, as they attempt to solve an interdimensional crisis set off by one of their old foes. The gameplay allows the player to play both as Ratchet and Rivet, although they both play identically, sharing weapons and gadgets. The game introduces the concept of real-time near-instantaneous travel between different areas, planets, and other worlds within gameplay scenes via a system of interdimensional portals. A new mechanic dubbed the Rift Tether is introduced in Ratchet and Rivet's arsenal that pulls them from one side of a portal to another, allowing them to move quickly between points. The game features both entirely new planets, as well as alternate dimensions of planets from previous games. Between planets, there are seamless transitions, with no load screens. The game's arsenal features a mix of brand new weapons and returning classics from prior installments. Ghostwire Tokyo is an action-adventure game developed by Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda Softworks. The game is set in a fictionalized version of Tokyo, which has been overrun by supernatural entities. The protagonist, a boy named Akito, is possessed by a spirit after a fatal car accident. This spirit grants Akito various abilities, allowing him to fight against the specters, investigate the disappearances of Tokyo's population, and save his family. The game is played from a first-person perspective and features a mission-based structure. Players navigate through linear, narrative-driven environments around Tokyo. Akito's spiritual possession grants him combat-based skills, which can be used offensively against standard enemies and larger boss encounters. The game also includes side missions that provide further context on the game's world and characters. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is an action role-playing first-person shooter video game developed by Gearbox Software and published by 2K. It's a spin-off in the Borderlands series and a sequel to Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. The game is set within the world of a fantasy-themed tabletop role-playing game. In this game, you embark on an epic adventure full of whimsy, wonder, and high-powered weaponry. You can roll your own multi-class hero, then shoot, loot, slash, and cast on a quest to stop the Dragon Lord. The game is available for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 and PC. The game world is unpredictable and chaotic, guided by the disorderly Tiny Tina. It features outlandish monsters and loot-filled dungeons.
Alan Wake 2 is a sequel to the original Alan Wake game, developed by Remedy Entertainment. The game picks up 13 years after the disappearance of the writer Alan Wake. The story is set in the small town of Bright Falls and follows both Alan Wake's attempts to escape a mysterious dark place and the investigations of a new protagonist, FBI agent Saga Anderson. The game is a single-player adventure that seamlessly shifts from slow-burn psychological terror to frantic survival horror action. It features gorgeously rendered game worlds, striking full-motion video sequences, and show-stopping musical surprises. The game is also described as a beautiful storm of surreal storytelling and genuinely frightening survival horror. The gameplay involves managing ammo and resources and deploying sources of light to keep the monstrous taken at bay. The game is also praised for its humor, finding it in over-the-top absurdity and in the quiet oddities of a small-town community. Despite some rough edges, Alan Wake 2 is considered a consistently confident and startlingly original adventure. LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga is a delightful addition to the LEGO game series, offering both adventure and excitement. It features stunning set pieces from all 9 mainline Star Wars films and a vast number of iconic planet hubs to explore. The game provides a fresh perspective with a tighter, over-the-shoulder third-person view. This new perspective enhances the combat system, making lightsaber attacks and force pushes feel satisfyingly precise. The game's charm is evident in its humor, with every cutscene featuring visual gags or punchlines at the film series' expense. This sense of humor, reminiscent of the classic Star Wars parody Spaceballs, centers the experience. The Skywalker Saga covers all the ground of previous games in the series, including The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker in LEGO form for the first time. It's a grab bag of different gameplay styles, all lent just enough depth to make them work.
Life is Strange. True Colors is an adventure game developed by Deck 9 and published by Square Enix. The game's protagonist is Alex Jin, a young woman who can experience the emotions of others. Alex has psychic empathy powers that allow her to read and manipulate emotions, which she perceives as colorful auras. This unique ability adds fascinating gameplay opportunities. The plot focuses on Alex as she tries to solve the mystery behind a tragedy in her life. After her brother dies under mysterious circumstances, Alex uncovers the secrets of the fictional mining town of Haven Springs. Crisis Core: Final Fantasy VII Reunion is an HD remaster of the original Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII game. The game is an action role-playing game set in the universe of Final Fantasy VII. It primarily focuses on Zack Fair, a young member of the paramilitary organization Soldier. Zack, along with his seniors Angeal and Sephiroth, is sent on a mission to investigate the mass disappearance of his fellow soldier operatives. The game features new models and lighting, redone voices for consistency with the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, and rearranged music. The graphics are redone in high fidelity, and the interface resembles that of Final Fantasy VII Remake in appearance, using the power of Unreal Engine 4. Many characters, creatures, and objects have been redesigned to match their Final Fantasy VII Remake counterparts.
The Quarry is an interactive drama survival horror adventure game developed by Supermassive Games and published by 2K Games. The game is set in the remote forests of upstate New York at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. Players control the fates of 9 teenage camp counselors who find themselves stranded for one more night at the camp. Their party plans unravel into an unpredictable night of horror. The gameplay is cinematic and played from a third-person perspective. Players must make difficult decisions that can change character development, the plot, and the relationships between characters. All 9 playable characters may survive or die, depending on the player's decisions. The game features supernatural creatures and violent locals. The player's vigilance in finding evidence and clues determines the game's conclusion. The game has 186 different endings, affected by player choices and performances in QuickTime events. Sifu is a thrilling beat-em-up game developed and published by Slocklab. The game is set in modern-day China and puts you in control of a young kung fu student on a path of revenge. The protagonist seeks vengeance on those responsible for their father's death. The game is played from a third-person perspective and is inspired by Bak Mei Kung Fu. It includes over 150 unique attacks. Basic attack moves can be chained together, with some combos granting players additional tactical opportunities. Sifu is a run-based action game. The environment can be used to your advantage, with throwable objects, makeshift weapons, windows, and ledges. The odds are stacked against you, so you'll need to use everything at your disposal to prevail. When the player dies, they are magically resurrected at the spot where they die and age several years. As the player character ages, their strikes will be more powerful, but they will have less health. Saints Row is an action-adventure game developed by Volition and published by Deep Silver. It is a reboot of the Saints Row series and the 5th main installment, following 2013's Saints Row 4. The game is set within the fictional city of Santo Ileso, loosely based on Las Vegas. The single-player story follows a group of 4 friends who start their own outlaw gang called the Saints. They subsequently expand by seizing power from other criminal organizations in the city. The game is played from a third-person view and its open world is navigated on foot or by vehicle. Players can fight enemies using a variety of firearms and other tools, and call in non-playable gang members to assist them. Players control the gang's leader, nicknamed the Boss, who features highly customizable traits. Outside of the main story, players can freely explore Santo Ileso and engage in several different side activities. Dying Light 2: Stay Human is an action role-playing survival horror video game developed and published by Techland. It is a sequel to the original Dying Light. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic city overrun by zombies. Players assume the role of Aiden Caldwell, an infected survivor with various parkour skills. The game is mostly melee-based, with the majority of fighting using melee weapons. Weapons can be upgraded with different blueprints and components. The game features a zombie apocalyptic-themed open world. Players can perform actions such as climbing ledges, sliding, leaping off from edges, and wall running to quickly navigate the city. Tools such as a grappling hook and a paraglider also aid traversal in the city. Metal: Hellsinger is a unique blend of rhythm and FPS gameplay. Developed by Swedish developer The Outsider. In the game, you play as the Unknown, a character who is part human, part demon, and obsessed with vengeance. Your journey takes you through the fiercest domains of hell. The game features an epic storyline, narrated by award-winning actor Troy Baker. The gameplay is heavily influenced by the rhythm of metal music. Your ability to shoot on the beat directly impacts both the damage you deal and how awesome the music sounds. The more in sync you are with the rhythm, the more intense the music becomes and the more destruction you cause. The game features music created specifically for the game by composer duo Two Feathers, with vocals by metal icons such as Serge Tankian, Randy Blythe, Alyssa Whitegloves, and many more. It's a rhythm FPS bursting with demons, badass weapons, and heavy metal music.
Kina: Bridge of Spirits is a visually stunning action-adventure game developed by Ember Lab. The game's protagonist, Kina, is a spirit guide who aids spirits unable to transition to the next life. The gameplay involves a blend of action, puzzle solving, and platforming. The game's world is beautifully crafted, with Pixar-esque character designs and animations. The story unfolds in a dying land, where Kina guides troubled spirits and seeks the sacred mountain shrine. The character designs and animations are commendable, making every character, especially Kina, instantly endearing. However, the game's storytelling and progression have been criticized as somewhat bland. Despite this, the combat system is exciting, simple, and surprisingly challenging. The game follows a linear progression, guiding players through major zones, each requiring the collection of specific items, boss fights, and upgrades. Back 4 Blood is a co-op first-person shooter developed by Turtle Rock Studios. Set in a post-apocalyptic world, you play as one of the 8 cleaners, zombie-killing mercenaries. The game is a spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead series. It offers a thrilling campaign mode where you and your team fight off hordes of zombies, known as the Ridden. The gameplay is intense and satisfying, with a variety of weapons to choose from. Each cleaner has unique stat bonuses, inviting slightly different playstyles. One of the game's unique features is its card-based progression system. Before each mission, players can build a deck of cards that provide various in-game advantages. Despite its intense action, the game maintains a lighthearted tone, with characters often cracking jokes amid the chaos. The game also includes a versus mode, though some players find it less engaging. Gotham Knights is an open-world, action RPG set in the most dynamic and interactive Gotham City yet. Developed by WB Games Montreal and published by Warner Bros. Games, the game was released on October 21, 2022. The premise of the game is that Batman is dead and a new expansive, criminal underworld has swept the streets of Gotham City. It's up to the Batman family, Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Robin, to protect Gotham, bring hope to its citizens, discipline to its cops, and fear to its criminals. Players must solve mysteries that connect the darkest chapters in the city's history and defeat notorious villains in epic confrontations. They can patrol Gotham's 5 distinct boroughs and drop in on criminal activity wherever they find it. The game can be played in either solo play or with one other hero. Each character has their own unique playstyle and abilities. For example, Robin can teleport via the Justice League satellite. Players can level up their characters and use vehicles such as the Batcycle to explore the city. The game features a cooperative online multiplayer mode, allowing 2 players to play through the single-player campaign together. Hitman 3, the final chapter of IO's World of Assassination trilogy, is a stealth game that features Agent 47's unique brand of slow-paced stealth. The game is known for its dense, deadly, and deeply varied murder playgrounds. It offers 6 outstanding new maps, each providing hours of chaos, carnage, and cruel comedy. The game doesn't stray from the killer chord combination developer IO Interactive crafted for 2016's Hitman. The most notable new toy in Hitman 3 is a camera which can be used to hack or examine switches and items. All 6 of Hitman 3's beautiful and strikingly well-lit levels are amongst the strongest of the series. The game starts with 47 parachuting onto the world's tallest building in Dubai, followed by a mission in a massive UK country manor. Then it's off to a massive German rave for a mission that oozes atmosphere. The next stop is Chongqing, China, where the glow of neon lights and the trickle of rain down 47's jacket combine for a visually impressive mission. The game then takes you to an Argentinian vineyard, and the finale is a fabulous surprise unlike any Hitman mission to date. The game is rich, rewarding, and highly replayable.
Scorn is a first-person puzzle game that takes players on a journey through the ruins of a dead civilization. The game's aesthetic, inspired by H.R. Geiger and Harlan Ellison's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, creates a disturbing and unsettling atmosphere. The game's world is a blend of flesh and machine, with architecture and puzzle contraptions that are both fascinating and unpleasant. The game forces players to closely examine this imagery to understand why the world is in its current state. Scorn's gameplay involves moderately challenging puzzles that feel like a mechanical engineering exam. The puzzles involve mechanical parts that fit together and require players to understand their workings.
Biomutant is an imaginative, single-player action RPG set in a post-apocalyptic world where tiny mammals have become martial arts masters. The game features fantastic enemy creature designs and a deep well of combat options, along with customizable weapons. However, it has been criticized for its basic and repetitive objectives, quests, and puzzles. The story seems to regularly overstate its own substance. Drawing inspiration from various sources, including The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Borderlands, Biomutant has a unique component, but its structure is anything but unique. The open-world aspect of Biomutant did more harm than good, with layers of great ideas drawn on an imperfect mind map. The Dark Pictures, House of Ashes, developed by Supermassive Games, is a horror-adventure game. The game is set in an ancient Sumerian temple, where Marines and CIA agents find themselves exploring. The game setup, with each entry spinning a new yarn, has allowed Supermassive to cast a wide net. The game's gruesome bat-like antagonists don't give a care about bullets. Despite the soldiers being heavily armed, they find themselves expending a lot of ammo and explosives. The game features long, flashy QTEs, ranking as some of Supermassive's most entertaining and elaborate. The game's story is fast-paced and fun. It has its issues, both technically and with not really having anything interesting to build into its Iraq war setting. However, it's still a hoot to play. The Dark Pictures Anthology's yearly offerings of horror-adventure games have been middling at best, and House of Ashes, the third entry in the series, retains the status quo. Alan Wake Remastered, developed by Remedy, is a survival horror shooter game. The game presents a psychological thriller in its most radiant form. It's set in a quiet mountain village, where the protagonist Alan Wake, a crime fiction author, experiences supernatural events. The game's story is gripping and surreal, with a Stephen King-style thriller viewed through the dreamlike lens of David Lynch. The narrative unfolds through manuscript pages that the player finds, which describe events that manifest themselves into subsequent events. The game's atmosphere is one of fear and tension, making it a place where it's perfectly acceptable to be afraid of the dark. The combat is fantastic, and the creepy atmosphere makes Alan Wake's quest thrilling from beginning to end. The remastered version presents the 11-year-old game in its most radiant form. While the details in its moody environments are now far easier to make out, its gameplay shortcomings are presented in equally stark relief. However, it's still a ripping yarn filled with creepy moments. Little Nightmares 2 is a captivating sequel to the original game, developed by Tarsier Studios. This horror-adventure game introduces a new protagonist, Mono, who dons a paper bag mask. Mono is accompanied by Six, the protagonist from the original game. The game is set in the Pale City, a seemingly abandoned metropolis filled with oversized horrors. The city is not as deserted as it first appears, with childhood horrors such as creepy mannequins, a monstrous schoolteacher, and a sadistic doctor lurking around every corner. The gameplay involves puzzle solving and stealth mechanics. Mono has the ability to pick up and wield different weapons, which adds a new dimension to the gameplay.
System Shock Remake is a modern rendition of the 1994 classic, brought to life by Nightdive Studios. The game is set in the Trioptimum Corporation Citadel space station, where you play as a hacker who has inadvertently caused chaos by disabling the ethical limitations of the AI Shodan. Shodan, the game's iconic villain, has transformed the station's crew into cyborgs and mutants, and plans to extend her reign to Earth. The game is a blend of first-person shooter and survival horror, with a strong emphasis on exploration and puzzle solving. The remake retains the original's complex level design, requiring players to navigate through interconnecting corridors, rooms, and locked gates. It also maintains the original's cyberpunk aesthetic, complete with smart guns and an evil corporation.
Trek to Yomi is a side-scrolling action game developed by Flying Wild Hog and published by Devolver Digital. Set during the Edo period of feudal Japan, the game follows a young swordsman named Hiroki who embarks on a quest of vengeance when his home village is burned. This leads him to enter Yomi, the Japanese underworld, and confront the evils of his past. The game features intense combat encounters, light exploration, and a striking presentation. There are two modes of melee attack. Light attacks are fast but weak, and heavy attacks are slow but strong. A well-timed block will break an enemy guard, giving players an opportunity to counterattack. New weapons such as Ozutsu, bow shurikens, and ranged weapons like bows and arrows unlock as the player progresses in the game. The game also features bosses, mythological creatures, and other supernatural elements. While the game is set in the Edo period, it also features a cinematic mode which lowers the game's difficulty level. Once the player completes the game once, they will unlock an extra difficulty mode in which the player character would die immediately when they are hit.
Evil West is a third-person shooter game developed by Flying Wild Hog and published by Focus Entertainment. In the game, players assume control of Jesse Rentier, a vampire hunter equipped with several powerful firearms and a specialized gauntlet capable of accumulating electrical energy. Enemies can be stunned and staggered following a melee attack, and players can execute enemies using a special finisher move. The environment can be used to the player's advantage, and the game features boss characters with unique attack patterns. As the player progresses, they level up and gain skills and abilities. The campaign can be played cooperatively with another player. The game has 16 missions that take roughly 10 to 15 hours to complete. Jesse Rentier is one of the last agents of a top-secret vampire hunting institute and must protect the American frontier from supernatural monstrosities. The game allows players to become a Wild West superhero, eradicate the vampire threat, and save the United States. The game features visceral, explosive combat against bloodthirsty monstrosities.
Returnal is a fast-paced, third-person shooter game developed by Housemarque and exclusive to the PlayStation 5. The game tells the story of Celine Vassos, who crash lands on an alien planet called Atropos. As she tries to locate the origin of a mysterious signal, things start to get very weird and time-loopy. The game is a roguelike, built on the idea of repeated runs through the same environments. Celine finds logs left by her former selves, which slowly reveal the layers of Returnal's central questions. The game incorporates surreal and chilling first-person segments where Celine explores her memories and nightmares. The tight and responsive gunplay is a hallmark of Housemarque's games. Returnal takes the bullet hell stylings of games like Resogun and Nex Machina, and transplants them into a third-person shooter.
Jusant is an action puzzle climbing game developed by the French studio Don't Nod, released on October 31, 2023. The game is set in a world where the sun is stuck in one position, causing a complete lack of rain. This has led to the drying up of the oceans and the transformation of the surrounding areas into vast deserts. The game revolves around a lone wanderer who is tasked with climbing a desolate tower known as the Tower A. This tower, once surrounded by water, was home to multiple sailing communities that had to move up and down the tower with the tide. However, with the lack of rain, the area around the tower turned into a desert, and the residents of the tower were left with the choice to risk staying or risk leaving. The gameplay is primarily focused on climbing, with the tower split into different biomes, each offering unique traversal mechanics and challenges. The climbing mechanics are simple and intuitive, and the pacing keeps it from feeling repetitive. The game also features environmental storytelling with no dialogue. The game's unique concept, stunning visuals, and immersive gameplay make it a standout title in the gaming industry. It's a testament to the potential of indie games and a shining example of how innovative mechanics and powerful storytelling can create a memorable gaming experience.
Hell Let Loose is a hardcore World War II simulator that offers a realistic and immersive shooting experience. It requires constant communication, strategy, and teamwork to win. The game is known for its realistic combat, sound, graphics, and RTS mechanics. The game throws you into 50 versus 50 warfare where teamwork is essential and death comes quickly in huge maps. It's the sort of game that convinces many that we're in the golden age of the multiplayer FPS. Despite a challenging start, Hell Let Loose delivers a near unparalleled experience as a gritty, hardcore WW2 shooter. It has a deep layer of big-picture strategy and maps that perfectly capture the devastation of war. Need for Speed Unbound is a racing video game developed by Criterion Games and published by Electronic Arts. The game is the 25th installment in the Need for Speed series. Set in a fictional city called Lakeshore City, inspired by Chicago, the game features an open-world environment with gameplay mainly focused around street racing. The player assumes the role of a character who refurbishes an old junker car. The game features an art style that merges artistic elements like cel shading and graffiti art. Utilizing the Frostbite engine, the game delivers 4K 60 frames per second visuals and features real-world environments with stylized graphical effects accompanying the usual cars, races, and police pursuits. The game includes a single-player mode and a multiplayer mode. The game allows players to challenge the authority of the city's police force, participate in street race meetups, escape from cops, and make a living driving people.
Mortal Kombat 1 is a fighting game developed by NetherRealm Studios and published by Warner Bros. Games. It was released on September 19, 2023. This game represents the 12th main installment in the Mortal Kombat series and serves as its second reboot. The game introduces a reborn Mortal Kombat universe created by the fire god Liu Kang. It ushers in a new era of the iconic franchise with a new fighting system, game modes, and fatalities. The game is available on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, Windows, and Xbox Series X and S. Mortal Kombat 1 features a dynamic single-player campaign called Invasions that offers a variety of distinct challenges. It also introduces the Ikameo Fighter system, which injects new strategic depth into combat. The game has been praised for its presentation, strategic depth, and the variety of game modes. Sniper Elite 5 is a stealth action game that takes players deep into the heart of enemy territory. The game's protagonist, Carl Fairburn, is back on the hunt, shifting the series' established blend of espionage and X-rated executions to 1944 France. The game offers large-scale stealth sandboxes, with each mission providing a variety of objectives. However, the storyline is straightforward and lacks complexity. The gameplay has seen decent improvements, particularly in the sniping mechanism. The detailed shooting camera for each correct assassination encourages players to adopt the method of stealth and concealment. The game's 8 different environments take good advantage of Fairburn's expanded movement set, offering multiple entry points to each facility. You also have a new focus ability that allows you to spot enemies through walls to avoid potential ambushes.